So I'm going to do it the long way first. File1 txt. What is that? What is this one?
That's just the user preference.
750?
Yeah.
And this one?
755?
Yeah.
You have to put 0.
Yes. If you do it in this format, yes, you have to put 0. Or I could do read, write, execute. U equals read, write, execute. G equals read, execute. O equals nothing. And that's the long way. Change mod 700 file2.txt or change mod U equal read write execute, G equals nothing, and O equals nothing. File. And the last one is 755 file3.txt. What did I do there? Change mod 666. What is 666?
It's the right and, it's the first two, not the last one. Yeah, first and last.
Sorry. Guys, I'm root, so this doesn't really apply to root. Guys, when I created this test directory, list long, I created that test directory. The execution bit isn't turned on for anyone. You won't be able to open that folder, nor will be able to go into that folder. Folders have to have the execution bit turned on. You probably don't know this, but you're going to have the same thing in a Windows box. So if I go to a folder in a Windows box and go to properties, then look under security, you'll see read execute is one permission. So the same principle applies to Windows. You need to have execution bit turned on. let's create that directory. And set the, don't worry about setting the permissions. Create that directory called tester.
I have a question for that. So I did the u equals rwx. Let's say I want to undo that.
You can't undo it, you just got to set it to what you want.
Okay, so at that point I noticed when I put the numbers in, it changed it as
Change directory as root. I mean, if you sign in as a root user, it'll still work, but every other user won't. Remember, a lot of the security stuff doesn't apply to root. The root user account derives its power from being ID 0. In the program, it is actually coded. If your ID 0, let you go through. So root doesn't derive its power from being in a certain group, like in a Windows box. So if I type ID, I can see my ID is 0. In Windows, you can create an administrator group, then add someone to that group, and then they're an administrator. That's not going to be, if you add a user to the root user group, that won't give him root powers. Root derives its powers from being ID 0. So I'm going to create a file in tester file4.txt. And I want all my users to be able to read write to that file. Well, actually, let's create two files. I want all the files in there to be accessible for read-write for all my users. So I could do change mod, recursively, set the permission to, I have to do this alpha. I can't do this with octal. I could do read-write tester. Sorry. All equals read write. So that will go into the tester directory and give someone, give all the files read write permission. If I list along the current directory, I can see that I have read-write permission here, all the way across. Then inside, I also have read-write permission for all my files, just like I wanted. The only problem is the execution bit needs to be turned on for the folder. So we have another letter called X, uppercase X. And what that will do is it will turn the execution bit on for the folder, but not the files. So this uppercase X is kind of, the way the book explains it is kind of convoluted. The uppercase X will turn on the execution bit for any of the folders, but not the files, unless it's already turned on for the file. You know, if it's on, it'll leave it on. It won't off that bit. But I'm doing it equal, so it doesn't really matter. I want it to be read-write. So keep in mind that if I tell you to give this user on the day of the test read-write permission for a folder, you know that not only do they need read write, they also need to execute, because when folders are open, they're executed. So just keep that in mind. And if you're doing it with the recursive and you want to set a bunch of permissions for files, it will also turn any parent directories to execute as it does the child permissions. It's kind of obscure, but it is out there. It's been there for a while. Not a lot of people know about it, but let me see where that is in the book.
So if you're given just the user permissions in the cloud, it would just be 700, because that's the user group comes first?
Right. But remember, I can't do, if I did recursive and did this 666 list-al, sorry, long, I can see the folder doesn't have the execution, but the files will be correct inside, so no one will be able to get to the files. So I can't do that. It won't work.
No, it needs to be ordered.
Yeah, you have to use, if you're doing the recursive with the X, you have to use all letters. You can't use numbers to do it. There's no equivalent way with the numbers to do it.
Okay, but that's for the directory, but when you make for a specific file.
If you wanted to do this, like file 4,
Yeah.
what permissions do you want?
If it was just, you wanted to give them rewrite execute just for the user, not for a group.
So that I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that would only change the file.
Yeah, just the file.
Again, because I didn't do R, it will have no bearing on tester.
Yeah.
That only affects the file. If I do the R, it will have an effect on tester and file. Would this work? To give the user owner permission for file 4. It would, because tester no, it didn't actually, it doesn't turn the execution bit on.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of strange, because I told it to turn it on. But
I guess the numbers just don't work when you do the recursive. You would have to do the RWX.
yeah, I would do the RWX with the recursive, just to be sure that you're doing it right. It's just one of those things. If you're doing a whole bunch of directories, you're going to run into stuff like that. Okay, that was the easy part. Here's what we're going to do next. We have 11 bits right here. The first bit, which tells you the file type, user owner, this is file type, user owner, permissions, group owner permissions, other, and the last bit, which is a dot or a plus sign, is ACLs. We also have 3 more bits called special bits. If you want to look to see if this bit is turned off or on, it's going to show up here. If you want to see if this bit is turned off or on, it's going to show up here. If you want to turn this bit off or on, it's going to show up here. If this is an X, user execution, I'm just putting execute, is on. Set user, guys, this, a lot of times when you see this, it's going to be written like set UID is off. This bit is called set user ID. This bit is called set group ID. This bit is called sticky. So if it's a lowercase x, user bit is on and set UID is off. If it's a lowercase t, user execute is on, set UID is on. Sorry, not a T, an S, lowercase s. If it's an uppercase S, user execution is off, set UID is on. If it's a dash, user is off, set UID is off. Don't worry about what the bit does right now. I just want you to be able to see it. So normally we've been dealing with a lowercase x or a dash up till this point. But it could be an x, an s, an uppercase s, or a dash. So these are the special bits, these are the user bits, these are the group bits, these are the others. I want to turn this on. What number is that? 6.
755.
I have 4 numbers. I've only shown you 3 up to this point. That 4th number is the special bits. So I'm going to do this to file 4. Change mod 6755 test dir file 4 list long test dir. So now, I'm sorry, that's not a 6.
That's 4.
I was testing, that's it. I can see the user has read write execute, the group has read execute, others read execute, and the set user bit is turned to 1. Because I see an S right here. What if I wanted to do this? What would the numbers be?
6, 5, 5.
What would it look like in that format? How would that be printed?
R,
RW what? Capital S, read, write, read, write. So that would be so when you turn this bit on, it's going to be visible over here. Either by saying a lowercase x, that just means this bit is turned on. If it's a lowercase s, this and this is turned on.
big S only one time.
A big S, just this, and this is turned off. Okay. Now, how do we turn on the set group ID and what will it look like? The same thing, except for now I'm dealing with this bit. I'm sorry?
Instead of 4, you put a 2 for the last, if you're going with the group ID.
Right. This is the 4-bit, this is the 2-bit, this is the 1-bit. So let's say I wanted to do this, but turn this bit on.
Should be 2,
2655, and what would it look like? Read,
Read, write, dash.
execute,
and then it'd be a little
read,
dash, little s.
little s, read, little s, read,
Execute.
execute.
They're both on.
Because both this and this is turned on. These are linked together.
By S.
By S. So let's do that. That is 2. Okay. Don't worry about what the bits do just yet.
And that's 2755, right?
Yes.
But that's what you.
Guys, it's a Saturday morning. Okay, right now, who is just not getting it at all? Who's having trouble? Okay, let me ask you this. Do you understand about this part? How I'm getting these numbers and why?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This way. Do you see that I have 3 bits for here, here, and here? Each number represents 3 bits.
What's the S for again?
Big or little?
What?
There's a big S and a little s.
Yeah. See what it's right there?
If it's a big S, and are we talking about this right here, the set user ID? If it's a big S, it means this is off. Let me.
It means that one's on and the other one's off.
So I want to turn the set user ID on. Read, write, lowercase s. Read, execute, read, execute. So that means this bit is turned on because I see that lowercase s. When I see this R here, this bit is turned on. This bit is turned on. Lowercase s means this and this are turned on. this is turned on, this is turned on, this is turned on, this is turned on. So that S is pointing to this bit and not that bit. And this bit.
RWS. First one.
This one right here shows the value of these two bits. If it's what can be in this, when you're looking at it, this could be either an X, a lowercase s, an uppercase X, or a dash. For this one, you could have a value of X, S, uppercase S, and a dash. Just the user execution is turned on. User execution bit and set user ID is turned on. Only the set user ID is turned on. The user execution bit is turned off. Both set user ID and execution is off. Okay. Host way. I have 3 bits. Each bit can be on or off. So 2 to the 3 equals 8 possible values. 0 through 7. So if I put 0, 0, 0, that equals 0. 0, 0, 1 equals 1. 0, 1, 0 equals 2. This has a value of 1, 2, and 4. 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2. So basically, if I turn this bit on, I'm adding 1. If I turn this bit on, I'm adding 2. If I turn this bit on, I'm adding 4. So if I want to do read, write, execute, that means all 3 bits are turned on. 1, 1, 1. So if I add 4 plus 2 plus 1, that would be 7. If I want just read, write, only those 2 bits will be turned on, so that'll be 4 plus 2. So that'll be 6 for that number. So each of these numbers, I have a field here, a field here, and a field here, will represent the first, there's 4 numbers. The first number will represent the special bits. The second number will represent the user bits. The third number will represent the group bits. The fourth number will represent everyone else's bits. Was that kind of the issue you were having? Where are you confused at?
No, I get it.
I was confused about the special.
Well, how are you doing? Okay, because I see you're hiding your face, you're shaking your leg. How are you doing? Okay. I haven't told you what the bits do yet, so I'll get to that. Where do you think this third special bit, when you turn it on or off, where will be reflected?
It's not the user.
Right here.
Oh.
This is called the sticky bit. So I'm going to do other execution, other execution, other execution. Okay, I want to do read write, execute, read, execute, read, execute, and I want to turn on this bit. So what numbers are they?
1755.
1755. So what will it look like?
It'll look like RWX,
RWX,
R minus X, and then R minus little s. Oh, 'cause it's sticky.
I don't know why they put T. When you're dealing with the sticky bit, a lowercase t is the same as the lowercase s. Uppercase T is like an uppercase s. So that would mean if I see a lowercase t, this bit and this bit are on. What if I saw uppercase T? What's turned on? Just the sticky. I don't know why they put a T there.
So it won't show the S for that one, it'll only show a T.
Right.
Okay.
If you use an S, when you set it with alpha, it doesn't give you an error, but it has no effect. So I'm going to do a octal first. So I'm going to do change mod 1755 test dir file 4.txt. List long test dir. The user has read write execute. The group has read write execute. Everyone else has read write execute. And the sticky bit is done. If I wanted to accomplish that, let's do this. Change mod. I want to use alpha now. I want to set set user ID on. Let me write it down. I want set user ID on, off. Using alpha. How do you think you do it? User equals read, write, execute special. Group equal read, write. Other equal read, write. Sorry. Test dir. Here's my command. Yeah, I took it back just so it matches that. I don't have it. So, guys, how you turn that on is say special. Put an S there for special there. What if I wanted to do this?
You would put the less after the RWX less.
You don't put the uppercase S, you just put rewrite lowercase s, and it will know to put an uppercase S there. Because I didn't turn on the execution.
Before, it wasn't turned on.
Right, because well, I'm setting it to rewrite no execution and set group ID. So when I look at that and it shows it, rewrite no execution, set group ID. Sorry, I meant this. I didn't change the thing, but I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so how would I do, sticky bit? Change mod.
1744.
We're going to do alpha. Someone I haven't heard from. Who haven't I heard from? What would this number be? What would these letters be? Look right here. Rewrite, execute. Do I turn S on for this?
No.
For group, what would it be?
R.
And for other, what would it be?
R,
Capital T.
Lowercase t. Because remember, if I want it to be execution turn on, I put an X. That's what I'm trying to stress right here. No, you don't. When you use the change mod command, you don't worry about uppercase T or lowercase.
Oh, okay.
You just put, if you want an uppercase T, you just put a T, no X. If I want an uppercase T, I'm just going to put that's going to show up as a T.
that would mean.
If I want a lowercase t, that would be a lowercase t. Because remember, I'm just turning on sticky bit.
Oh, okay, so XT equals the
And
little
this
t.
is execution and sticky. So if you just turn on sticky, it will show up as an uppercase T. If you turn on execution and sticky, it'll show up as a lowercase t.
So in this case, it's gonna show up as an uppercase T.
Correct. Sorry. Guys, that's the command I ran. It's an uppercase T because I did not turn on the execution bit. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Change mod, 666, tester, file 4. What would happen if I did that? Right. It will do it. It will show up read, write, execute, read, read.
It just doesn't show an error, right?
Yeah, it doesn't give you an error. So be aware that you try to use the S letter here, it doesn't say, hey, you did the wrong letter, but it doesn't do anything. So just be aware.
But
Guys, I never try to put an uppercase S anywhere.
it also looks like you got rid of the T. Because you put an S there, you got rid of the T.
I was showing you that I made a mistake and put an S instead of a T, but it doesn't show you an error that you made a mistake.
Okay.
He's saying that the T was there before.
Yeah, the T was there before,
Yeah.
now it's gone. So it got rid of that T when you made your mistake.
They got rid of the
Yeah.
sticky bit.
No,
Because
I'm using an equal. I'm saying replace the current permissions. I'm not saying add an R. or subtract an R, I'm saying this is what it should be, regardless of what it currently was.
Okay, so
So
the,
that's-
So if I
so,
say equal sign, it's saying that's what it said. I don't care what it currently is.
okay, so it just doesn't recognize the.
It didn't yet.
You don't-
It might as well have been blank.
Exactly. And that's what it sees it as, blank.
Got it. Got it, got it.
Guys, after a while, this will actually be less confusing than Windows permissions. Because you're dealing with 3 sets of permissions. User, group, everyone else. And believe it or not, I was a network admin and I could use Unix permissions on a Windows box, and most of the time it'd be perfectly fine. You know, there's a few scenarios where I need to, you know, do special things, but generally Unix permissions are easier. Guys, let's do our first break. Also, don't just sit here, walk around, because after a while you just said that. Okay. So I'm signed in as root. I'm going to do which VIM. The group owner. What does this do? List long which VIM. That's a double execution.
A what?
A double execution.
Oh.
I'm saying execute this command first, which will result in what? This. Then I say list long that. So as opposed to saying which, then list long that file, I can do a double execution. Which VIM, once you get the results, list long that file. So who is the user owner? So I'm going to do change mod. I'm going to turn on the special bit for user, which is set user ID, for user bin VIM. And I can now see that the set user ID is turned on, and execution is still turned on because I never touched it. All I did was add the set user ID. I'm going to sign in as U1. And I'm going to run VIM. PS AEF. Look at the processes. Who's running VIM now? Root. Okay, I'm hoping I'm not going to nick for this, but as long as U1 has the ability to execute. Does U1 have the ability to execute VIM? Is U1 the user owner? So these permissions don't apply. Is U1, as far as you know, a member of the root group? No. So these permissions don't apply. So U1's permissions are derived from here. U1 falls in the other category. So does U1 have permission to execute this program?
Yes.
So what they're saying is if you turn on the set user ID, and that user has permission to execute it, when they do execute it, it's executed as root. It's executed as the user owner. So no matter who runs this program now, when they run it, it will now be root.
When you set the user ID.
When you set the user ID, you're telling them if they have the ability to execute it, they're going to execute it as a user owner. File executes as the user owner of the file, not the user that ran the file. But your user still needs permission to execute that file.
How do you set the user ID?
I can do it this method that we've been doing, Or what I did was,
U plus S.
I just added that special bit.
Oh, so it would be G plus S?
If I wanted to turn this set group ID on, which I haven't talked about yet.
All right.
So, that was on a file. What if I set the set user ID on a folder? What effect does it have? Essentially no effect. I'm going to say essentially no effect, but there is an effect. You execute that folder, you open it as root. But, you know, who cares about that? So, you execute the program as the user owner, not yourself. That's what it means. Okay. In Windows, when you create a folder, and you create a file or folder under that folder, it inherits the parent's folder's permission. We don't have inheritance in Linux or Unix. So guys, do me a favor. Create two users. User add, wait. Okay, yeah, let's just do this. User add Sam and Sally. Create a group called My Group. Sorry, I gotta do it one at a time. We created two users, Sam and Sally, created a group called My Group, and added Sam and Sally to the group. Guys, the next thing I'm going to do, I haven't shown you yet, but I'll get there. So just, this is believe me now, hear me now, believe me later. I'll explain what I just did once I hear the key stop. If you want to catch up, go ahead, take your time. I created two users, one called Sam, one called Sally. I created a group called My Group. I used the gpassword command twice to add Sam and Sally to that group. They're secondary group. That's not their primary group. I created a folder called Public in the root of my file system, and I made my group the group owner of that folder. So I'm going to sign in as Sam. I'm going to touch a file called samfile.txt. Okay, I made a mistake, but I don't want you to tell me how to fix it. Why can Sam not write to that file? Okay, so I'm going to exit here, so I'll go back to root. The quickest possible method to fix that, the most efficient method. Change mod. Where are they going to fall?
They're going to follow the group.
Group, what do I need to add? Right. So basically, guys, my group had only read execute. So Sam didn't have rights to that, to make any changes. He can read it, he can open it, but that's all he can do. So I'm going to sign into Sam and touch a file. What is Sam's primary group?
My group.
Right, which is it's called Sam. When you create a new user and you don't specify a primary group, it creates a group under the same name. So I have a user account. When I did the user add command, I created a user account called Sam and a group account called Sam. So that's Sam's primary group. So when Sam creates a new file, Sam will be the owner, and Sam the group will be the group owner. So I'm going to exit out of here, sign this in as Sally, and do the same thing. Touch public Sally file. Sorry. No, I don't want to do that. List long, public. Who is Sally's primary group? Sally. So when Sally creates a file, Sally the user is the owner of the file, and Sally the group is the group owner of the file. I'm going to exit to go back as root. I'm going to turn set group ID on. Before I do, what rights does Sam have to this file right here? Read. Just read.
This other, not group.
Well, look, is Sam Sally? Is Sam a member of the Sally group? So Sam permissions are going to be read. Okay, what rights does Sally have to this file?
Read.
Read. So I'm going to turn on set group ID. What's the command? G plus special. List, long, my top of my file system, and grep for public. I can now see that the set group ID is turned on. I'm going to sign in as Sam. I'm going to create another file called SAM file 2. The normal behavior is when you create a file or folder, your primary group is the group owner of that file or folder. If the set group ID is turned on for a folder, like it is for public, who is the group owner of public? Inherits the group owner. So regardless of whoever you are, if you create a file or folder in public now, the group owner will be my group. Now what permissions does Sally have to this file? Is Sally Sam?
Just read.
She has read and write.
Right, because Sally's a member of
Yeah, the group.
Right, so now anyone who writes to this folder will be able to, if they're part of my group, and they won't be able to write unless they're a member of my group, because only my group has write permission. So if someone in my group comes in here, writes a file or folder, anyone else in that group will be able to access that file or folder. They'll be able to make changes. Anyone can read the files, but only people in my group will be able to write to the files. So, set group ID means you inherit the group owner.
And set new ID means you inherit the user. What about the stick? No effect.
Well, we haven't gotten to sticky yet. Okay. So if I set in a directory, files newly created in that directory have the group owner. So basically, whatever the group owner of the directory is, all files and folders under that would have the same group owner. If it's set on a file, this is kind of stupid, you'll execute it as the group owner. Who cares, how you execute it? Normally it's your user permission. But that might be fine if you want to turn on a file and you're a member of that group, only members of that group can actually execute that file. But that's what set group ID means. What problems did we create? By doing that. Guys, if you give someone, how does someone get granted delete permissions to a file or folder? Right. If you can write to it, you can delete it. So that could be a problem. Sam created this file, but now Sally can delete it. If you want to prevent that, turn on the sticky bit. So I'm going to turn on the sticky bit. What is this? Right. S doesn't do anything. So now I have the sticky bit turned on. And I have the set group ID turned on.
For some reason, when I'm doing the grep for public, it's telling me LS cannot access such a file or directory. I know it's free.
What does that mean?
Separates the, I mean, it tells it to do this and then do that.
No, it means if I was in a Windows community, that's the C drive.
Okay.
That's the top of my file system. So I'm saying, don't list my current directory and look for public. Go to the top and look for public there. All that is like your C drive. Was that your problem?
No, mine is saying no such file or directory
Because
exists.
you have a space in the.
Special
You have a
permission.
space right there between the L and the mount, right there.
Oh, is that
You
all it
have a
is?
space, yeah. That's it.
It's building in Python too.
Okay. So I'm going to sign in as Sally now. I'm going to touch public Sally file 2.txt list public. So what rights does Sam have to this file?
Right?
Read, write.
And,
Can Sam delete it?
Yes.
yes.
He has right privilege.
Here's, execute. Would that be execute?
The sticky bit's turned on.
That's,
Oh,
so you can execute, right?
No, so I can prevent Sam from deleting this file. Sam can go in there and make changes. There's a lot of write permission. But because the sticky bit is turned on, he doesn't have the ability to delete.
How does that, enforce that? How does that?
Because it sees the sticky bit. That's what the sticky bit does. So as Sam, who am I? I'm Sally.
Yep.
So do I have write permission to this file?
Yeah.
RM,
Yeah.
public, Sam file 2.txt. Because the sticky bit is turned on
Does the sticky bit,
for the folder.
does the sticky bit just not let any removal happen?
Can
Can I edit it?
You can edit it.
Sam
but you
can
can't-
edit it.
But you can't get rid of anything?
So look, I'm gonna go VI as Sally, public, Sam file 2. Insert, whatever.
It prevents, it has to be owned by you to be able to be deleted by yourself.
So I can make changes to the file, no problem. I just can't delete it. Because the sticky bit is set in the folder. But can I remove
Sally file? Yeah, because you own it.
I'm the user owner.
You
So any file where I'm the user owner, I can delete. So if the sticky bit is turned on for a directory, the only people who can delete files or folders under that directory is the user owner. Even if you have write permission, you must be the user owner to delete that file or folder. Guys, the sticky bit has morphed over the years. Back in the day, the sticky bit meant keep a program in memory. When memory was really expensive, we would take a program that was not active, take it out of memory and put it in a page file, like a cache file, on the hard disk. And at that point, whenever you try to rerun that memory, or rerun that program, or do something, make it active, it will take it off the hard disk, put it back in active memory, then do whatever you want to do. But if you had to turn the sticky bit on for a program, it prevented that from being cached onto a disk. It always kept it in memory. We don't have that problem anymore, so what happened is they kind of used that sticky bit for a different purpose. Prevent you from deleting a file.
So even though when you're a user and you look into the public folder, you won't be able to see if the sticky command is on or not unless you go all the way to the public folder.
Right, you're going to have to go. Yeah, you have to look at the file where these are at.
Where the permissions are, right?
Right, and it might be several folders deep. So you might have to go up
Back and back and back.
until you see where that sticky bit is set.
Yeah, so you wouldn't see it there, but you would see it in the actual root of the group itself.
Where it started.
Yeah, not the individual files, you'd show in the directory.
Yeah, and you'd have to go back. Okay,
You
look.
can put a sticky in the middle and then put a sticky on top of it. Like in the middle of the, let's see, there's 4 folders, you can put 2 down and 2 down.
Well, no, the sticky doesn't do anything to files, it only does stuff to folders, right?
You can set it on a. No, it does it for a file too. You can set it on a file or folder. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, it's no effect. So if you put it on a directory, only the user owner can delete that, even if they have write permission. So, what is the purpose of the sec user ID?
Make it so that you can go in as the user that made the file or directory.
You execute that program as a user owner. As long as you have execution permission, when you execute it as the user owner.
What if it's a big S?
Well,
Big S is
okay, that's a good thing. What if it was like this? This was turned on, this was off, and this was off. And this was off and this was on. And let's say I was signed in as Sally, and Sally fell under here.
So that's the same file.
Okay. When Sally executes it, Sally would execute it as root. Because Sally has execution 1. Okay, so even if root didn't have execution, Sally does. When Sally executes it, they're running it as root.
Oh, that's the user ID.
What is the purpose of set group ID? 2 purposes.
to inherit the group permissions.
Group ownership,
And to,
if it's on a folder.
and to execute as the group.
Execute as a group if it's on a file. Sticky bit prevents deletion unless you're the user owner.
User owner.
Okay. Okay, guys, since we don't have a full class period, I just want to start this chapter. Chapter 12. We'll come back and do this, but some of this stuff I need 12 configured. Yeah. So I'm going to go to chapter 12. No, I'm still recording. So we're going to configure our computer name. Guys, also, I want you to boot up the we're going to be using the second machine too. Let me move this over here. Okay. Over the years, this has changed, even recent years. We used to have this file called Etsy Network.
Thank you.
That's where your host name used to be stored. Your computer name was stored there. It is now stored here. Nope.
Host. Why host name?
That's where you store your computer. That's what it shows. There's a bunch of files that you have to configure your network. They don't want us editing the files anymore.
What's the password for the second server?
Same thing.
Capital PA11WRD. Listen, do me a favor, use the 11. This one. This. You've got to get this enough.
I didn't see it. I have
So,
but I don't have that.
there's a bunch of different files to configure the networking. They don't want us editing the files anymore manually. Back in the day, you'd open up VI, you edit the file, reboot the machine, you were good to go. So all the distros are doing this. Too many people have screwed up the networking files. There's a graphic utility right here to configure the networking as well. And they want you to avoid that as well, but that is being handled by a thing called Network Manager. Your network files are controlled by Network Manager at this point. There's a graphic way to do it, but I'm just going to show you the command line. So first thing I want to do is set my host name. Host name alone will show you your host name. Host name control will show you more detail about your host name. Your GUID, your boot ID, host name, control, set host name, I'm going to do this like the book. There's a problem in the book, so I'm going to do it like the book. I'm CS01, CS02, CS03, CS04, CS05, CS06, 07, 08, 09, CS10, CS11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 in the corner. So you put in your number, CS01VM1 dot, I'm just going to use Contoso. That's kind of wrong. That's Microsoft's fake domain.
Yep.
No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it like the book shows you.
Control.
This is what the book shows you to do. If you do this, and you look at the results that you have versus what the book has, it's not the same results. Look, it drops the @ symbol off. So the book has it wrong. Do not put an @ symbol there. lesson, what chapter are we on?
26.
12. Lesson 9 of 12 is wrong. Chapter 12, lesson 9 of wrong. Lesson 9 of 12 is wrong. In book 1. This is the proper way to do it. It has this pretty name. I don't know what this pretty name is. I don't know what a pretty name is in computers. I've never heard that term. Now if I run it, if I replace it with a dot, now I run it, I get the same results as the book.
You ran it without the app.
I ran and I replaced the app with a dot.
Also notice that a close name is the CS, whatever our number is.
Right.
Got all the questions. Try to memorize it.
What does this acronym mean? Fully qualified domain name. I have a short name, sometimes called a host name, and I have a fully qualified domain name, which is the host name and the domain name. Fully qualified domain name. I'm going to reboot. After you change your computer name, reboot.
So just like in Windows.
I'm sorry?
Just like in Windows. You change the name and you reboot.
We still logging with the student.
And I can see my computer name right there now. What if I deleted my hosting file? It will contact DNS, resolve your IP address to a name, and use that name for your right. So if you don't want to manually set your computer name, you can fix it in DNS. I'm not sure how far along everyone is, but what is the purpose of DNS? Yeah, you send in a host name, it sends back an IP address. Or if you send in an IP address, it sends back a host name.
If you don't have a DNS, then it goes on your ISP DNS.
What he really is asking is how do you resolve names locally without any DNS server? Before we had DNS, the predecessor for DNS was host files. Windows has them, Unix has them, Linux has them, your phone has them, they're still used. They do name resolution locally. So, edit that file. Guys, I'm signed in as who? Look at my,
Your group, your group.
right, yeah, look at the hash mark, you know I'm signed in as root.
Activities.
Stop laughing in class, people are gonna walk past and think it's a good class. Okay, look, I'm gonna draw a representation of our network. What is that a symbol for?
Router.
A router. A router connects networks together. What does a curvy line represent? A public network, the internet. As far as we're concerned, the school is the internet. Guys, I have this turned on in our real machine. Our real machine is our router for our private little networks. Then in our private networks, we have two servers. CS01 or whatever your name is. Can I put VM1?
Yeah.
Yeah. VM1. Then we have another server which we're going to name CS, whatever your station number is, VM2. This interface, which I've already configured, has this IP. This one we're going to give this one is going to have that's the network that we're in right now. So I went in here, I'm going to go to the bottom, hit O. I'm going to get out. Give me 1 second. VI Etsy host. A lot of you guys, when you start doing this, you forget this beginning slash. That's like my C drive. Go to the C drive, and there's a folder called Etsy, and there's a folder called host. If you leave that blank off, that first slash off, it will try to find a folder called Etsy in my current folder, which it won't find. So if this is blank, you don't have something like I have, you have a typo. Hit colon, Q, bang, get out, and fix the typo. So I'm going to go to the bottom, hit O to create a new blank line. Guys, it's just for readability. You might have to press the numlock. Listen, my numlock light is not lit up. When you switch from one VM to another, it doesn't change the numlock. So if it was numlock turned on and you switch to a VM, numlock will be turned off, but the light will be on. So you can't go by the light. There's a command you can run to fix that, but on PowerShell, for those people that set VM BIOS, turn that on when you set up your virtual machines, for those people that are playing around with this. So you can do it in PowerShell. Fix that issue. So I want to resolve CS01. You put in your name. Don't put in my name. Contoso. I'm going to resolve my short name and my long name to a loopback address. Guys, why not put in the IP address 172.16.0.2?
Because you're going to resort to the name.
Your network interface might be down.
That's true.
If it's down, you know, the loopback interface on this machine is always up. You know, so if you're resolving your own name, just point it to the loopback. And since we're here, let's resolve 0.3 to our other machine. I'm just associating those two names, my fully qualified domain name and my short name with the loopback address. And for my other machine, I'm going to resolve the fully qualified domain name and the loopback, and the short name to that IP address.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you enter a comment at the end of the line to say what each line is doing? Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the pound sign that lets you add a comment.
Press escape, :WQ, or escape, shift ZZ to save and quit. Guys, can you believe it? I didn't take one art class.
Good straight line.
May I press escape and save it? Belinda,
Yes,
are you good?
yes,
Okay. So that's how we resolve host names locally. Guys, how do we test DNS in Windows? This is an interview question. This is the most unused command in the world. It's nslookup www.google.com. It's not going to work now because I don't have the network fully configured. In Windows, well, if network was fully, we would get results. That's a Windows command. It works in Linux. In fact, it was invented in Unix first. The Unix community is getting away from that. We're using two other commands. Dig, again, this is not going to work because I'm not fully configured. And host. We can use those three commands to test DNS. To make sure you can resolve names to IPs and IPs to names. The problem is, it doesn't test the local host file. So if you want to test your local host file, there's this command called getEnt, get entire. I could do get entire groups, and it will show me all the groups. If this was joined to the domain, it will show me local groups and domain groups. I could say get entire passwords. It will show me local user account and domain user accounts. I only have local. And I can also do get host. That will show you your host file. If this is going to the domain, you might be able to look at computer accounts as well. We're going to do this again, this portion of the lab. IP adder, what does that do? Shows your IP addresses. It's IP adder or IP address. Oh, everyone types adder. We used to have a command called ifconfig, like ipconfig, but that's being deprecated.
it by default won't be installed. But I added it to our images. So I have config is being deprecated as being gotten rid of. We're going with IP added. IP route
shows my routing table.
So your default gateway will be here, and your IP address will be here. Who is using ACE IT right now? Okay, when you do IP adder, the network cards on ACE IT is different. It's ENS5, so just be aware of that. For the machines in the room, I'm using ET80. You need to know the name of your network card. Okay? So your network card might be different because you have a network driver, different network card driver.
So I'm using ET80. A lot of times, if the system can, it's going to try to give your network card an alias. ET80, ETH1, ETH2. Sometimes it can't, so then it has to go with the actual driver name, which on ACE IT is ENS5. Okay. When we
Make changes to our network card, like a static IP, we edited these files in the past. I'm going to erase this as soon as I write it. In the past, that's where your gateway was stored. It's no longer there. When I'm saying the past, I'm saying Red Hat 7 days, 1.8. So if you're in an older box, it might be in a different file. So now, etc sysconfig network -scripts interface config ET80, or whatever network card you're using. If you're using ENS5, you would put ENS5 there. In the past, we would mainly go in, edit that file, and make changes to it. etc resolve.conf. So our IP address will be in here, and our DNS servers will be in here. So now this is your IP addresses, your gateway, and your DNS, all in one file. This resolve.conf, if you get your IP settings from a DHCP server, it still holds your DNS. So if you're still doing dynamic IP addresses, your DNS will be here. If you're doing static, it'll be here. And we would have to edit these files manually. You'd have to know all the keywords. And invariably, someone was going to have a typo. So they're trying to stop you from doing that.
So, what was this graphic utility called that I told you could configure your IP? What is this called? Network Manager. So NMCLI, what does that stand for? Command line interface. So this is the command line version of the graphical utility. So I'm going to I can look at devices, or I can look at connections. I'm going to look at connections and then show. I could do NMLI devices, show. I'm going to show my history. I just want to look at connections. NMCLI connection show. That's really what I'm but I'm just typing con because I'm lazy. A connection is like a profile. They're trying to have us not mess with a real device. So it's like a profile, not an actual, I can have multiple profiles for one network card and enable one at a different time. So if I have a laptop and I bring it into work and I have a static IP, I enable that connection. But I'll have a different connection when I take that laptop home and connect it to my Wi-Fi.
No, it's dynamic.
Well, it could be dynamic or it could be static, whatever you want. It could be different settings. Just like, you know how you have a bunch of different networks for your wireless? I can do that for wired as well. You know, but a lot of people don't use multiple connections for a wired interface, but we still use a connection to configure the network card. We don't physically touch the device anymore. So we try to avoid using the device, messing with the device. So I have this connection right here called wired connection. Guys, when I made this image for the classroom, I tried to break the connection so you guys couldn't surf the internet. What happened was Red Hat tried to connect it, and so that's why you pull into that error that you saw at the top when you first came to class. That's why you keep getting it, because it tried to fix it for me and it didn't quite work. But this is the command. This is the what I want to mess with, a device or a connection. There's a whole bunch of things I can mess with. And this is what I want to do. What if I want to delete the wired connection? NM CLI, it's a connection. Delete wired connection.
That's why the 810 doesn't come up on
On the virtual machine.
the virtual machine, yeah. That's why we get a dot.
I'm
On
sorry.
our computers, we get a dot. We don't get 810 because we deleted it for us.
No. You should get the.
Yeah, can you do the NMCLI connection?
Don't worry about that. Mine is associated with the device. This connection is associated with the device. I don't want to go into that.
Oh, okay.
We're just looking at the connection. I don't care if it's associated with the device or not. Delete it.
Oh.
Delete it?
Yeah, just delete it. Remember, we're case sensitive. No, it is, guys, it is case sensitive. You gotta be exact. Wow. Okay. So we're going to, listen, NM-CLI connection show. What did that do?
It shows just VIRO.
It shows the connections. What does NM-CLI con del do?
Delete whatever specific.
What if I wanted to add a new connection? Okay, do you kind of see the pattern that it does? Show, del, okay. So I want to add a new connection. Guys, the book uses the term static. I'm just going to say connection name is ETH0. I'm going to have my profile, my connection,
be the same as the actual physical device.
I want to associate this connection with this physical device. And that device is the Ethernet card. And when I boot the machine, I want you to automatically connect that card.
You're supposed to have an A at the end of Ethernet?
Yes, it's the Spanish spelling of Ethernet. Sorry, not yet. Yes.
So I created a new connection and I gave it a name of ET0 to match the physical interface. It's an Ethernet card, and when you boot up the machine, automatically start that.
NMCLI connection show. Guys, what would the verbiage be for the command if I wanted to bring that connection up? NMCLI connection ET80.
I don't have a DHCP server in our private network, so we're not going to get an automatic IP. Don't worry about it.
But this would be a dynamic IP. Okay.
It won't come up because we don't have a DHCP.
So, I'm going to wait till people are done typing.
Are you good?
Yeah, I was just doing extra.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So, if I want to do a static IP, I want to specify the IP address based on what I have on the board.
I feel like mine is still changing.
Okay, guys, this will delete the connection. If I wanted to, I can modify it. I can modify a connection if I wanted to. I don't want to. I just want to delete it. Okay, NMCLI con add. I found some glitches with this, and I'll show you. I want to create a new connection called ET80. I want to associate it with the physical device called ET80. It is of type Ethernet, as opposed to a FUD or a token ring or something like that. Frame relay. I want to give it an IPv4 address, a 172.16.0.2 with a subnet mask of /16. I want to give it a gateway. What does the 4 mean? It's an IPv4 gateway as opposed to an IPv6 gateway. The gateway, guys, I didn't hit enter, it just word wrapped. I don't know why I keep doing that. I had a typo. Now bring the interface up.
You always have to bring the interface up? Or can you automatically make it that it goes up once it turns on?
When the computer turns on, it'll automatically come up, but I'm already booted. I don't want to have to reboot just to bring my connection up. NMCLI connection up. ETA 0.
So if you don't do the auto connect command, then the interface won't go up? Or it's still gonna go up, but there's no auto connection? Like, it doesn't get an IP from the DHCP?
I have to bring it up because it's like disabled.
I'm saying once, if you don't type the auto command.
It will be disabled every, if it was up right now and I reboot the machine, it will be disabled.
And you'd have to bring it back up at manually.
Correct.
So the auto connect has both. Not only that it brings out the interface, but it looks for an IP.
If it's dynamic.
But the way you do it is static. That's
Yeah.
what you do with the-
Guys, instead of looking at all of my interfaces, I only want to look at ETA 0. So that's how I can do IP adder, show device ETA 0. Just look at that one device. Not see my loop back with a virtual bridge or anything like that. So there's my IP address. I can ping.
Can you see one?
I did something wrong. Maybe my real machine.
You gotta duplicate IP?
Need minus CL, dot eight, dot eight, dot eight.
No, hold 1 second.
Yeah, you don't know.
IP. Get net. Can anyone ping?
Help us to type, it's ping minus CL and then it's 8, dot eight, dot eight.
C1.
That's where I was going. Yeah, minus ping.
Okay, I don't know why I can't ping now.
You can hit them out. One packet transmitted 0, 100% packet loss.
Okay, it gave it a second, it started pinging. I don't know what I did wrong. Okay, so in any case, guys, let me show you the command. Again, I'm gonna look at my history.
Minus C1 is like just one line?
I'm sorry?
What is minus C1? One line or one packet?
Yes, C is count. C is count. Unlike Windows, it pings perpetually, by default. So when you ping an IP, it doesn't stop until you manually stop it with Control C. So all I'm doing is saying, only send one packet, count them one. Listen here. Guys, I spent the last 15, 16 years looking at typos. I could spot a typo across the room at this point. That has become my job, walk around correcting people's typos. Officially, they pay me a lot of money for it. I'm very happy to do it. So guys, created a connection named ETH0. I associated it with the physical network card called ETH0. It is a Ethernet network card. An IPv4 address, a gateway. I specified my DNS servers. Guys, for those people that aren't networkers, there's no way you could have figured this information out from your head. I knew what network we were in. I knew our gateway. I knew the DNS servers. Okay, you're not expected just to figure that out. You'll be given that information. I'm saying when you boot up the machine, bring it up. Connect to this network automatically. Before I go on, I still see people typing, so I just want to wait a minute. What we just did was create this file. Okay. Are you taking notes or are you still typing?
Okay.
Okay. Cat, Etsy, sysconfig, network, hyphen scripts, IFCFG ETH0. I'm not going to hit enter so it doesn't scroll off the screen, but you can. What did I just say about that?
So the system config, if it's out there, you can use CFG.
I'm sorry?
But there's, where it says system config, you couldn't put system con.
That's just a directory name. It's a folder. So basically I have a folder called Etsy, I have a folder called sysconfig, I have a folder called network scripts, and in that folder I have a file called ifcfg.eth0. I'm going to hit enter. What type is it?
Ethernet.
Will it come up, will it be turned on boot?
Yes.
This is the auto connect. What device is this associated to?
Etho0 or ETH0.
ETH0. The UUID is auto-generated. What is my IP address?
172.16.2.
What is my subnet mask?
16.
Your gateway?
172.16.
Our two DNS servers.
113.2.
So that command saved us from having to type this out. So if it's a long command, the alternative is worse. Okay?
Where you have to ask each individual thing.
You have to no, you are given a blank sheet of paper and you type it. That's it. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. The book takes that command I just gave you and breaks it down by have you add some of the items, then mainly modifying that connection and add the other items. Using NM CLI connection add, then it has you do an NM CLI connection mod ETH0. When you do it, it creates a glitch. That's not set right. When you do it in two parts like the book has it set, it doesn't work right. So we'll play around with this some more, but I'm going to show you what the book does and what the results happen. You know, when we do it. And I noticed that none commit. You know, so guys, we just configured our IP address. We want to do this to both machines, get them pinging one another. and before we do the other labs, because we need our networks configured before we go on. So, but this is where we're going to stop today. Just like a brief overview, we set our computer name, and we set our IP address. Resolved our computer name to an IP using the host file. Okay, that's it for today. For the purpose of the video, if anyone isn't in class, guys, I jumped from chapter 7 to chapter 12. That's what we're doing today. We're going to come back to 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay? Thank you. Have a good weekend.